Howdy all, this is Shane, and I got asked by Second First what my DAW setup is and recording setup here at home and for my band recordings. I've produced 3 CDs on my own, 3 CDs for my band. I've also produced quite a few live demos for my band over time. And I've also been lucky enough to produce maybe 5 or 6 other bands in the last 5 years. I don't do it as much these days due to time. It's something that I love doing, but it also requires so much time. And it's one of those things, unless you've been involved in a project, it's hard to really express how much time it takes to finish something off. Just when you think you've got your final mix, you always go back and you mix it again. But today I'm actually going to just talk to you about what I use and how I record. And it all starts with songs. I come up with concepts. Now this ties into how I record. Now when it comes to recording, sometimes I don't have all the words or a bridge finished, but I have all the verse and chorus parts together. I then take what I have to the band, and usually Oscar finishes the bridge or something like that, because Oscar's a great musician. I also work on ideas on my own, and Rick and I usually get together and we jam some stuff out. We did that more so on this album. On the last album, Another Rainy Day, I came up with all the songs and I gave the songs to the guys. They added some really cool bits that weren't there initially, and we changed some of the tempos to sort of suit, the feel that they wanted to play, and we kind of compromised and it came out better than what I had initially, because Another Rainy Day was supposed to be a slow blues. So I think the main thing I'm trying to say is the concepts have to be there. Even if they're slightly unfinished, you can usually punch them out during the day, as long as you're working with good musicians. So with that said, and that out of the way, I'd like to just show you what I use to record my band. Now, I'm right in the middle of a project at the moment, so excuse the mess on my desk. And this is what I use to basically record the drum and bass parts live. Now, what I do, I usually mic up the kick, snare, under the snare, the toms, bass, hi-hats, and whatever else we might need to mic. I might even use one of the onboard mics here to record a bit of a room sound. That's more so suited to the live recordings, not so much to the studio recordings. I actually have 2 of these units, so I can run up to 16 tracks. I find I never really run more than about 12 normally, maybe 13 tops. And that's fine, that's more than enough. So what I like to do, I like to set up one channel as a designated guide vocal track. And what I say by that is I don't use it so much to sing as I do give instructions to the band as we're playing live. We all listen to what's going on through headphones when we do this. We isolate the bass through one of Oscar's preamps straight into here. So there's no spill on the drums aren't rattling or doing anything weird. And I'm also running out of a pedal straight into a second channel. So that becomes the guide track for my electric guitar. So I'd usually have, say this is all full of drums and bass. On the next recorder, I'd have a guide vocal and a guide rhythm guitar, which is probably perfect for something like that. That's one of those amp simulator pedals. When I've done this previously, I've used a Digitech pedal, either the Screamin' Blues pedal or the Bad Monkey or whatever I had, because that had an amp simulated out on there. So you could get a decent tone just for your own reference. That said, it wasn't fantastic, but it's good enough for the day. All you have to do is be able to hear what's going on, and for the band to hear what's going on in their headphones, and then you can dump these tracks out later. I should point out, what I normally do, especially with blues and stuff that you want to capture live, what I try to do is play the parts as I would live. I don't try to studio-fy it too much. So I'm basically saying to the guys, all right, we're going to the chorus, we're going back to the verse, go back to the hook, go back to, or go to the bridge, take it to the bridge. And if there's a guitar solo, I'll just say bring it down for 24 bars, or if it's a song, I'll just say bring it down and groove, and then bring it up slowly, or on the next, verse, hit it hard and go out from there. So I'm literally talking like that over the microphone, and I'll show you what I mean by that. All right, for those who are wondering what program I use Nuendo, which is basically the same thing as Cubase, except it's supposedly a little bit more high end. And yeah, so you know what? They're all the same. If you're a fan of Pro Tools, that's cool. If you use Adobe Audition 3 or whatever the new version is, that's totally cool. If you use Cubase, it's all good. It's whatever you know and whatever you can learn and you're the most comfortable with, and whatever is also the most stable. For me, the most stable right now is Nuendo. So it's really cool. And I'm just gonna show you what I meant earlier by having a rhythm guitar part or a guide track to work with when you're playing live. So I'm gonna take it back to, I'll take it up to one of these tracks here, where I know I speak a little bit inside it. So the audio you're about to hear isn't mixed any particular way into the camera. It's just literally picking it up in the room. So here we go. So that right there is the guide track that I used, or that we listened to as we were playing live in the room. I later replaced that with this. But in the room, when we were playing this live, that was the guitar track we were listening to. All right, so this is a section here where I speak in the room live over a microphone, nice and quietly, but loud enough in the mix so that the drummer, Mark, and the bass player, Oscar, could hear me. All right, guitar solo. So as you could tell, all I did then was just speak, and I do it again here. How about you, BB, sir? I'll stand out. I'll stand out. So it's sounding pretty cool actually, listening back to it. But yeah, so as you can hear, that part is the live part, and I'm literally just saying bring it up, bring it down, stay on that, which makes it very, very easy. And then when it comes to the actual recording, I literally mute those two tracks. I don't delete them though, I keep them because it's great reference if you can't remember where you're going. So for me, that guide track of where I say I am in the song or where we're going always stays there, because as we're tracking guitars, I'll literally say go to the chorus, and we go to the chorus. I don't have to wonder if we're there yet. That's a really good way of doing it. If you're recording live tends to be easier to record. I don't know why, but when you're in the moment and you're playing in front of people, you tend to play better. It's a good challenge for me to play parts in a studio situation. As you can see, I broke up my rhythm guitar part into a few different feels or sections here where I chopped and changed a little bit. And all of these parts here, you know, different guitar layers on top of that. So last night I just basically finished off this track, to, you know, to some extent. And yeah, I'll just show you this little outro. It sounded pretty cool. Alright, so my computer is an i7. I've got a solid state hard drive on the C drive here, which is, you know, the operating system drive. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Windows 7 for me has been great for a long, long time. And yeah, I've got a whole bunch of different hard drives for different things. And yeah, basically C is just where I install the programs, and my other drives are where I actually go to record. So I'm recording to a USB 3 external hard drive, which is nice and quick. It's fantastic. So yeah, that's basically my rig. I've got 16 gig of RAM. But the thing is, with computers, depends on the project as well. You don't need to go too over the top with hardware. It's good to get a good CPU. An i7 would be what I would recommend. I've also done lots and lots of recording on a Core 2 Duo at 3.2 gigahertz, I think, or 3.0. I can't remember exactly, but this is my computer that I do all of my YouTube stuff on, and I also use Sony Vegas for all my video editing. You can also use Sony Vegas for audio production. I just choose to use Nuendo. I find it more reliable and a lot more stable than Sony Vegas 11 for me personally. Not to say that for other people it won't be as good or better for them. So yeah, just whatever you're comfortable using. There's so many alternatives to Pro Tools, and I would suggest doing that unless of course you've got the full version of Pro Tools. Those LE versions, you know, they're pretty limiting, and you've got to have hardware that supports it. If you say buy one of these R16 interface things, you can use them with just about anything. So keep that in mind. Last night I uploaded a solo, and what I used on that solo were these two pedals. I was using my 63 Fender Reverb pedal after the Joyo. So I had the Joyo as the amp, and then I had that coming out of it, which kind of seems like the opposite way around, but Rick and I found out that that way actually sounds better, so we did it that way. Pushing the amp's front end, or really this, was the Klon KTR, and I also had my DD7 digital delay on as well. So that tone you heard, that raw rockin' tone, was actually out of this. It wasn't out of an amp. And the great thing about this is if you already play Fender amps, you can get your sound out of these things. You can get it to sound like a Twin or like a, you know, Hot Rod Deluxe or whatever you want. It's got it all in here. You just got to tweak it around a bit. I just find by adding the Fender reverb to it, it really just gives it that authentic kind of sound, Fender tone, even more so. On that last track you just heard, I was actually playing the outro parts with the AC tone. This is a Vox emulation pedal. I've had two great Vox amps in the past, an AC30 C2 and a Vox AC15 C1, and I can get that tone out of this. This basically emulates the sound of a Vox amp mic'd up. So these are both Tech 21 clones. They both do exactly what the older versions of the Tech 21 pedals do, and what can I say, they're just fantastic. I'm going to be recording with these until I'm done. I mean, in a live situation, sure, I'd use my amp, but in a controlled situation where, I can't literally crank my amp at night, using these is the best alternative to recording guitar I've ever had. And I've had Line 6, I've had all of the different digital emulators, or I've tried them, and these are analog. They respond like an amp, they sound like an amp, they sound better than an actual amp mic'd up. Now that's my opinion. You can go watch my blind A/B tests between the American Sound and my Fender amps, and you can see if you get it right, because more than 70% of the people got it wrong. So there's a hint for you. But yeah, that's what I use to track all my guitar parts in the final stage. So if you're planning on doing some semi-serious recording and mixing, you really need a set of good monitors. I didn't think there would be that much of a difference, but listening to a mix on a set of speakers such as these really helps your ear pick the difference between what you're doing and what you think you're doing. If you're using PC speakers or hi-fi speakers, you're never going to get the same sort of mix as you would with a set of monitors. You can actually get cheaper ones like Behringer, then you can get ones like Yamaha or Rocket, such as these. There's plenty of brands, they're all good. It's whatever you get a feel for and whatever you get used to. It does take time to get used to mixing with these speakers, but the good thing is as soon as you change an EQ, you're definitely going to hear it. On hi-fi speakers you won't, so that's the difference. You can mix something that sounds fantastic in headphones, put it in your car, and it'll sound terrible. Why? Because you didn't use a set of monitors, so keep that in mind. That's a huge part of it. Just get whatever you can. These 8s are probably a little bit too big for this room now, but I'm just so used to having them around. I think the next set I'll get is probably going to be a 5 or 6 inch set. This unit hiding right down the back of my desk is a Joe Meek Twin Q preamp. So what it does, it essentially takes a microphone, gives you a really nice clean signal, and then you can output that to your interface. It's not an interface, you go from this into your sound card. So I go out of this into my R16 unit and I record my vocal and acoustic guitar tracks, which I don't have an acoustic anymore, but yeah, it's great for that. And the mic I usually plug in is this. It's a Rode NT2A microphone. I'm a huge Rode microphone fan. The mic I'm talking into right now is one of their lapel mics. They make, I reckon, some of the best mics in the world at a reasonable price. You know, like something with dual diaphragm like this would cost you a fortune normally, but you know, Rode, just what the sort of sound you get really just works with, you know, the kind of vocalist I am, which isn't a strong vocalist. I probably wouldn't care too much if I had one of the best voices of all time, but I don't. And this does exactly what I need. As you can see there, you can see the large diaphragm. There's also one on the back, which makes it really cool. It's not a stereo mic, it's only a mono mic, but you can set the polar patterns up different. Alright, so that's the control panel on the mic up close, and yeah, that's how I have it set. Now, when I first started recording, I didn't have any of this. I used whatever I could. I basically went out of a 4-channel mixer into my stereo sound card on my computer, and then I mixed that. I couldn't even like play with the levels. I had to get the mix on the mixer right, and then I had a little bit of freedom with reverbs and whatever, but I remember my original demo sounding super dry, and that was just what I had at the time. And I remember making do with whatever I had, and it's taken me years, and I've gone through so much gear trying to find like the most portable gear that I could take somewhere without having the threat of it being damaged. I've been through a lot of portable recorders in the past that were limited in some ways than others, and then I found one called a Korg D888. It had a hard drive built in, it had 8 channels. I actually cut my first album live tracks with that, and then I took the tracks, dumped them on the computer, and recorded the rest of my parts with a different sound card. The limitation of that was if you were at a gig and you had, you know, big booming bass and really loud electric guitar or kick drum, the hard drives would actually shock and spaz out, and you'd lose some of your recordings. So the benefit right now of having solid state drives in a laptop or in one of these R16 units, solid state meaning no moving parts, one of these, just one of, you know, a little SD card that records to that. So you've got no chance of shock or vibration wrecking the sound. And that's one of the most important things. If you're going to be recording live, make sure you get something that can withstand a bit of volume. Hard drives don't. They don't like volume. Even working in the studio, I had the drums shock a hard drive that wasn't far away from it. So I had to actually put the computer as far away as I could. And it was okay, but yeah, even so, you've just got to watch it. So for me, I didn't want to take my laptop with all my other stuff on there to a gig. I wanted to just basically record what I could at a gig or in a studio situation, and then dump that onto a computer. So I don't do any mixing from these units. All I use them for is to record in 24-bit, and then I take that and I dump it down onto my hard drive and I mix it, and then I give it to the guys in the band, let them listen to it. They give me feedback. I try it again, I give it back, and so forth. It keeps going until everybody's happy. The good thing about doing this way is taking your time to get things right. Now, there's one thing just to get a guitar part down. There's also another thing to get the guitar part to sound good. And I don't mean tone, I mean the actual solo should go somewhere. It should sound and feel good for that point of the song. It's not so much the fact that you got to show off your chops and play as quick as you can. It's almost like the opposite of that. If you can make something sound really cool and tasteful, especially for blues, that's the trick. Just going nuts all the time doesn't really do anything for a lot of people. I try to take my time, and being able to track my guitar parts separately and in my own time is the best thing for me. And as I continually play and listen to the song ideas, I hear different things, both rhythm guitar as well. So I'm always looking to get the best, most minimalist approach to a part that would complement what Rick plays, or Rick would take an approach to complement something that I play. And then we might listen to it and go, okay, let's try it this way instead. And then all of a sudden you've got something that really works. So think in parts, don't think so much as, you know, strumming chords. Think, what part can I add to this to make it sound good? And come up with something that really helps shape the sound of the song. That's what I'm talking about. You want to be able to do that. So right now I'm actually working on 2 projects. My live album, which is pretty much done. I've just got to tweak the kick drum a little bit, and I'm working on this new album with the guys as well. And that's 10 tracks on both. So it's, you know, it's good fun. It's good to be able to have something to show about where we're at right now, as well as where we're going to be when the new album comes out, which is always exciting and a little bit scary. But the best thing to do is just trust your gut. If you're working with nice people, they'll generally try to contribute to your ideas. So yeah, if you're new to songwriting and you're not sure where to start somewhere. Don't do what a lot of people do and just play other people's music forever. Write your own songs. It's just a huge part of it. I just wanted to have a chat about this while I'm in the recording / tracking / mixing, producing sort of mindset right now. And I'm also got another project on the way, which is going to be a documentary. So stay tuned. This is kind of why I'm upgrading these cameras and so forth, because I want to actually do something pretty big soon. And I've just released it on Facebook. So I'm going to hopefully have a few friends help me out in some way, and we're going to have a big audience for this. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing that with everybody. So I hope that's helped. I know this video has been really long, so thanks for watching. So if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below and I'll respond as soon as I can. If your question's a little bit more involved, feel free to contact me on Facebook at facebook.com/intheblues. That's where I can answer you in more detail. You know, the YouTube comments are a little bit more limited, but feel free to contact me there. There's no problems with that at all. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all soon. See ya.